Welcome back to Confessions of a Good Girl, the podcast where good girls come to confess and sovereign women come to stay. Today is a Girl Talk Confessional all around overload, the second principle of my signature confess method. Like we've learned, overload builds directly on the awareness that we unlocked in conditioning. It operates on the premise that your nervous system was never broken. It was actually really brilliant at protecting you. Before you had the language for what was happening around you, your body created adaptive responses to keep you alive, feeling loved, feeling safe. The work here is about understanding the how behind your patterns, not the shame that we've consistently put around them. If you want to follow along and do the work, you can grab the Confess Method, the complete self-coaching system, at the link in the show notes. So let's meet our guests. First, we have Dana Whitby. She is an intuitive for the intuitives, helping women move past overthinking and remembering their own power. Her path began in traditional mental health counseling, but a spiritual awakening in 2025 ignited her devotion to the mystical arts. She's the creator of the Inner Compass Oracle, a deck designed to help women access their own intuitive connection. For more than 2 decades, she has used tarot and oracle cards as mirrors for the soul. Her work now lives at the crossroads of psychology and magic, helping others break patterns, trust their timing, and live from intuitive alignment. Armed with a master's degree in counseling, certifications in regression therapy, holy fire, karuna reiki, and meditation, combined with an unshakable belief in each person's ability to self-heal, she creates spaces where transformation feels safe, embodied, and even a little rebellious. Welcome, Dana. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Next, we have Becky Aste, and she is not your average relationship coach. She is a catalyst, a trauma-informed somatic and soul healer who walks powerfully beside individuals and couples as they transmute their deepest relational wounds into sacred embodied connection. After a decade of chasing every healing modality under the sun, Becky found herself with 2 young kids and a growing business, separated and on the verge of divorce. That's when she stumbled upon the unconventional game changer of somatic healing. Today, Becky works with high-performing, high-achieving women who look like they have it all together, are quietly unraveling inside. Through the powerful triad of nervous system regulation, attachment repair, and spiritual embodiment, she helps her clients finally feel safe, clear, and deeply connected with themselves and their relationships. Whether you're healing the inside of a current partnership or stepping into a brand new chapter, Becky is the woman you call when you're ready to stop repeating the same cycles and start creating the kind of love that actually lasts. Welcome, Becky. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Audrey.
And Kelly Brock is back. Last week, she was here and spoke, and today she's here again. Kelly is a visionary mentor, intuitive business coach, and founder of the Multidimensional Matrix, a global movement for women raising the consciousness of leadership. Kelly was once a high-achieving entrepreneur trapped in burnout, and now she teaches women how to replace hustle with an intuitive, soul-aligned way of leading and building impact. Kelly is a homeschooling, conscious parenting mom who believes the future of leadership begins with how we lead ourselves and our families. Welcome, Kelly. Thanks for coming back.
Happy to be here.
So I am so very honored. Each one of you is here today, and I just want to do like a whole round of welcome to the show again. This episode is going to be a little round table, a little let's grab drinks, and I want it to be a real honest conversation where we can say the big scary thing out loud about what's showing up for all of us when it comes to the nervous system, regulation, and overload. I do have some questions to keep us on track, but let's just see where the conversation goes and have a good time. Sound good? So I think I'm going to start with Becky. Let's hear a little bit about where you started on your journey with nervous system regulation. What's the moment your body knew something was wrong long before your mind would really let you admit what was happening? Like that real moment. And how long did it take for you to actually listen to it?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm moving, so I'm packing up a bunch of old journals right now, and I'm stumbling across entries from 5 years ago, or 6 now, during the pandemic, when I was writing things like, my nervous system is on fire, and I didn't even know what that meant yet. I had heard of that book, The Body Keeps the Score. I had tried to read it, but it was so heady that it was going in one side, in one ear, out the other. I wasn't retaining anything, but I was noticing, okay, I'm constantly short of breath. I try to go to yoga classes and they go, breathe into your belly. And I'm like, I can't fucking breathe into my belly. Everything felt tight. My muscles were tight. Massage therapists were like, honey, what's going on? Why are your muscles like concrete? I was having eczema breakouts, constantly working, didn't know how to shut off. So that's the tip of the iceberg. But that's when I started noticing something is really off, and it felt unsafe to let my mind be like, yeah, we need to make some shifts. I was just in the hamster wheel, go mode.
Yeah. Does anyone else relate to that?
Relate to that completely, especially when people would be like, breathe. And I'm like, I can't breathe. For me, as someone who has experienced burnout as the turning point for me to understand what was happening in my body, I had a physical manifestation of anxiety and depression. And I had never had that one day in my life before that. And so I remember even before I knew I had anxiety and depression, I remember sitting up in bed and having to press my hands just to open my ribs to be able to get my lungs to take a full breath. I kept telling Josh, I think I have a virus. I can't breathe. Like I thought I caught something. I was like, I just can't catch my breath. And so I didn't know, oh, my body's having a physical response to how it's feeling safety wise. I just thought, oh, I caught something. I can't breathe. It must be bronchitis or something like that. And when I went to doctors to check me out, I had had a baby and so was like 6 or 7 months postpartum. So they're doing their normal check, like, how are you feeling mentally and all these things. And I was like low on the scale, like, nope, don't love life, don't have energy, cannot sleep, can't breathe, don't think I have what it takes, like all these things. And so they diagnosed me with anxiety and depression. And I was like, wait, what? No, on the surface, I love my whole life, but all of my symptoms of my body were this physical thing that was saying, you're not okay. And I knew I wasn't okay, but that was like the catalyst for me, Audrey, was it got so bad, this whatever silent symptoms or small symptoms that were trying to get my attention, I didn't know what that was until it was a burn down moment for me. And that's when I had to wake up to the fact that something's happening in me and I don't know what it is, but my body is communicating it to me.
Within 6 months of a baby, did they contribute that to postpartum at all?
100%. Yeah. So they were like, oh, this is postpartum depression. And I was like, wow, I'd never experienced this with my first child. The problem was as the baby started growing and as some of the sleep things started getting better and like it should get better, I do believe it was part hormonal. But as I started looking inwards, I realized, oh, I'm not happy with my life. Like I don't want to do all these other things. So I started finding I had those same feelings when I started going back to work, Audrey. I would go back. It's time, maternity leave. Like it's time for you to start like handling your responsibilities again. And all my energy I was in a network marketing company before, all the things that used to give me life and vitality and energy and excitement and motivation, gone. Not even gone. I had resistance to them. And those symptoms would show up again. I'd get shallow breath. I'd feel constricted in my body. I'd be like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. I felt like I wanted to run away. So it was like, again, the mind connection, same as Becky. I was like, what's wrong with me? I should want to go here, but my whole body was I don't want to go. I would think I was sick every week when I had to go to my meeting. Somehow my body would like be sick again and exhausted and depleted. And I had no idea the nervous system was communicating, you're not okay here anymore. It's not safe here anymore. You don't want this anymore. But I didn't have a conscious awareness to that. So it was beyond postpartum depression and anxiety.
I felt the same way in my meetings. I used to fill my tumbler leading these meetings with alcohol to get through it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be like, welcome everyone. Let me teach you how to run a successful business. I'm like sipping
He's loaded.
whiskey, cups like tea. Yeah.
Right. But it's like we start to deal with things thinking, I just need to get through this, never going, I shouldn't feel this way about my purpose work. I shouldn't feel this way about the things we just go, how do I cope? with whatever thing I'm feeling. We just like push it down. Yeah. So that was it for me.
It's interesting how you talked about like what you would get almost sick. I've experienced that before too when I was in corporate world. And I know this is kind of a mainstream term, but it was like Sunday scaries where I would just be like your body was like, oh, we have to go back. Let's just completely shut down again. And then Friday, it was like this lightning of like, yay, a couple days, and then back again. So your body's like in this contract open response. What about you, Dana? What realizations did you come to with your nervous system?
Yeah, I relate to everything you have all said so far. The first time I really kind of worked with my nervous system this way was when I was mainly a stay-at-home mom, and I felt like I wasn't contributing anything. I felt worthless. I felt like I had nothing for myself. I definitely was depressed, definitely anxious, and I actually went to a medium who she changed my life in 2015. She told me, "You have spiritual gifts that you're not using, which is where your anxiety and your depression is coming from because you're stuffing that down in your nervous system." And so what's really interesting is that I swung the pendulum the opposite way. So I dove into all the healing work and I allowed the stuff to come through, and that started overwhelming my nervous system as well. Feeling other people's emotions, becoming completely overwhelmed by stuff that was not mine, feeling spirit trying to come through and channel during times when I really needed to rest, or, after having a session, kind of buzzing and not being able to bring my vibration back down to rest. So it was like kind of tossing and turning myself all over the place. And eventually I've like really come to realize that I need really gentle nervous system stuff. Like I really need very soft, like, sound healing works so well for me, just something I can turn on and put literally no effort to, because I found that I even took, like, my patriarchal conditioning of, like, do, 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 and put that on my spirituality and my ability to receive my intuition and do, do, do with that as well. So I really have to reset my nervous system personally in a state of, like, total receptivity and not make it work or a to-do list item. So that's been kind of my journey of
What a
like swinging the pendulum one way to
Yeah,
the other.
can I like speak to that though? I know
Yeah.
we've been talking about the nervous system, on your podcast, Audrey, but it's like she took her normal state of go, 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 and says, "This is where I feel comfortable. I'm just going to switch that same
Mhm.
state and have it in a totally new category." I think that is telling of someone's comfort zone when it comes to nervous system state. I think that's fascinating. I did the same thing, by the way. I walked away from my network marketing company and went straight into ambition mode in my new soul aligned path, which surprise ended me at the exact same place in a burnout. And I'm like, wait, but I really love this one. And this is aligned. And my body's like, you just did the same thing in a new place. Right. Isn't that fascinating?
I think this can also show up when we like get into working out. And then it can be like this health kick that we go on where we're eating right and we're working out and we're doing all the things. And then it just spirals into this unhealthy obsession of like your health. So I think anything could really be the catalyst for this, just like switching categories instead of looking at those stress responses. So that leads me to my next question that I had for y'all is what is your go-to stress response?
Yeah, I'm freeze. If all I call them somatic F bombs, most people know fight, flight. We got freeze, fawn, flop. I am a go to freezer. So you'll find me not scrolling on my phone laying on the couch, but scrolling while I'm doing things. I'm still like very productive and I'm cleaning the kitchen and I'm putting clothes away, but I'm checking my phone in between.
I feel like I relate to like all of them kind of depending on what it is, but I would say more often than not, like a frantic, maybe kind of flight energy will take over where I just feel like I have to like similar to what you were saying, Becky, like I have to just keep moving and doing these things and like, it's almost like a need to kind of control something when I feel like everything else is out of control. It's like, well, I can control the laundry. I can control how clean my floors are. So, I'm going to dive into that. Yeah. Super, super not healthy.
I would say for me, mine definitely goes into the avoider energy. So I'm like, let's get out of here. Like, period, end of story. I'm like, and I'll even do that within work. It's like, it's actually kind of a freeze and a flight at the same time. It's like, I don't have the answer for this right now. So I go numb and shut down, and my body believes you don't have access to this answer right now. There will be a better time later. Now is not the condition. And so I will get out of the situation. I'll just be like, I'll leave that till later, till I'm like in the right conditions and I can answer. But really, then later I feel the pressure of the fact that I've left it. And so then that builds on even more, and I want to avoid it even more. So I'm like, get out of here. Like, let's have something else to do because I don't feel safe. And I've gotten, obviously, I'm sure you all have too, so much stronger at knowing what I need and helping myself. But when there are times that it takes over as still a dominant pattern, I absolutely want to get out of the situation and avoid.
It's so curious too how when we have these stress responses, like sometimes they show up together, like freeze and flight and fight, and then like flopping, like we fight and then we're like, oh crap. It's like become a puddle because we feel like this immediate guilt around like showing up like the good girl gangster, I call it, is just like exploding and then being like, oh no. So like they're showing up all at the same time. It doesn't have to be just one. So when did you first notice when you were like, oh, that's actually this showing up? Like, when was the first time you realized it was a stress response?
Yeah, the first time I started to gain awareness around all of this and get language for it, and somebody pointing me to my body instead of just talking about what was happening and keeping it from the neck up, more cerebral and intellectual, it was pandemic time. Everything just hit the fan, came to a head. My husband and I separated. We were headed towards divorce, and I was on my last bit of hope, scrolling at 3 a.m. on Instagram. It was super late and I couldn't sleep. And I stumbled upon a coach who started putting language, more embodied language to this. And she was my last second, like, I'm going to try this one last thing for my marriage. Nothing else has worked. If this doesn't work, then at least I can have peace of mind that I tried everything. And I started working with her, and she was the first one to put language, but also wisdom and intelligence to these patterns. So it wasn't like, ooh, this is bad, you're in a flight response, or this is bad, you're in a freeze response. It's like, wow, how wise of your nervous system to have learned these survival patterns for a period of your life and to get you through what you needed to survive. This was how you got through all the hard stuff up until now, but now they've reached an expiration date. So what got you here isn't what's going to get you there. I'm guessing you don't want to stay in survival mode, Becky, in your marriage anymore. You actually want to heal and thrive. So let's try something new. And so she was the first one to soften even the internal tension of like, I'm doing something wrong, and that shame spiral. And yeah, of course I'm messing up and I'm stuck in this pattern. And I have another thing on my list I need to fix about myself. It was that simple paradigm shift of like how intelligent of your body to help you get through what you need to get through. Now let's learn some softer tools so you can get out of survival mode.
Yeah, I want to stay here for a second because you said something that I felt, and I know that my other women who have gone through divorce situations have felt. I needed to do everything that I could to prove that I had put everything into this before I would fully walk away. I did that when I got divorced. My friend did that when she got divorced. It was like, it wasn't just enough that it wasn't working. We had to put everything in. That's a very good girl response. So how does the nervous system like show up there when we want to be the good girl? We want to put it all out there and like try everything, but also like still own our own sovereignty in that.
Yeah, it's funny the timing of us recording this because I've been thinking a lot about my upbringing, the good girl upbringing, and I grew up in a Christian home where best of intentions from my dad to instill faith in me, a relationship with God. There was a lot of unintentional conditioning for me to self-abandon and do all of these things to be good and avoid hell, very intense. And so I think that's absolutely what showed up in this marriage situation on a subconscious level where it's like, okay, it'll hurt enough if we divorce. That's going to be its own gnarly thing to go through just in and of itself. But then I'm also trying to protect myself from the pain of someone, and I don't even know who, but just like the collective, others pointing a finger of like, you missed a spot, or you didn't do enough, or you messed up, like you missed something. And so it's that other protector part. Yeah, that was partly driving that doing one more thing. And then I also believe a part of me that was that tiny little glimmer of intuition trying to come through, like, but actually, there is one last drop of hope. Like, for your situation, Becky, don't give up hope yet.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Dana, when do you feel like you caught yourself in your first stress response?
I think it came from maybe the disappointment that Western medicine doesn't have all the answers. I was having physical symptoms and they were running tests and there were zero explanations. It was kind of like, well, we don't know why you're having heart palpitations. We don't know why your cycle is completely messed up. And I just realized that Western medicine is so incredible for so many things. I'm not putting it down for that, but I realized that for myself and for my own nervous system and for my own regulation, that the answers were not going to be in a prescription bottle or in any further testing. And so that was when I really started diving into you know, some other practices at that point, like acupuncture completely healed my cycle. The hour in meditation that I would spend with acupuncture needles in my body, was so powerful. Like I said, it completely healed my cycle. And tapping and all kinds of subconscious kind of work. And like I mentioned, sound healing before too. I just started to notice the changes. I noticed that I felt better and safer in my body. And I was recovering from channeling or from high stress situations, kind of both my human side and my tapping into my spiritual side, all of it, I was able to kind of come back into a better place with these other tools. And so that was kind of my realization was, I might have to take responsibility for this myself and look outside of the traditional path.
I love me some good self-responsibility. Also, I love acupuncture. That actually was the only thing that helped me with my plantar fasciitis.
Mhm.
It was
I believe
insane.
you.
Insane. Best thing ever. If you are considering full send, do that.
Yeah. Now, I will say with the caveat that I feel like it has to be the right person for you. I do
Yes.
feel like there's an energetic component. You can't just go to anyone on the street and get acupuncture because I have had it from different people and didn't feel the same. So that's
Right.
an
Yeah,
important piece.
I
no
feel
needles on the street from strangers.
No, not do that.
Not at all.
I feel the same way though about cupping. I've had that from several different
Yes.
massage therapists, and it is not always the same.
No. And it can be super painful if the wrong person is doing it.
Yes, yes. What about you, Kelly? When did you first notice a stress response?
So mine was not conscious in the fact like, oh, it's the nervous system. I remember seeing a program advertised. So this was a couple years into after leaving my network marketing company, growing my own business. And I saw this woman advertising her business or a program. And she said, wouldn't you love to make money from a receiving energy instead of having to work hard for it? And that I was like, what are you saying to me? And she was like, oh, money doesn't feel safe in your body. You don't feel safe receiving it. You only feel safe knowing how to make it, chase it, get it, do it. And I was like, oh, that feels like me. Yeah, that's my total experience. How would I ever receive money I didn't go make? It was like blowing my mind to ever imagine, especially being a breadwinner, almost our entire marriage, just being a dominant in the energy of money for our family. That was a revolutionary thought. And what she said was, you have to teach your nervous system how money can feel safe to be received by you rather than it being in a relationship. So pretty much what she was saying is my nervous system was tied to the experience linking money only comes through hard work. And I was like, I don't know what you're saying to me in English at all, but I'm interested in figuring it out. And so I went into a program that was experiential. It was, how can we move into a container where your nervous system learns to receive money? And I felt so uncomfortable. I felt so uncomfortable. I wanted to fight with her almost. I was just like, this makes no sense. Like, who would ever give me money? How would this ever happen? How could it ever come to me? And I felt all my fight, flight, like freeze responses showing up because I had experienced, even in my own childhood, my mother was the dominant breadwinner for our family. My mom loved making money. She loved being a boss. She loved being in control with, by the way, my dad could never be like, hey, don't buy those home good pillows. She was like, my money. Like, I'm going to buy 12 of them. And we'd be like, I don't think you need 12 pillows, but she didn't care. So I had tied even my ability to grow a business, be a woman, be sovereign, make money, all of it was linked to effort. All of it was linked to this experience. And so that became my first real introduction to learning the nervous system, because I started to learn how my relationship with money was tied to nervous system states. And I had been craving privately this idea of slowing down. I was like, I don't want to work all the time. I think what I really want, it makes me feel emotional right now. Like, I was like, I think I want time with my kids. Like, I'd love to feel what it would be like for Josh to like hold the heavy stuff and like for me to get to receive. But that felt like rude and disrespectful and like selfish. Like, how dare I ever imagine that I get to slow down and what he has to hold more? It all felt unfair. And so I had to really wrestle with the fact that my body, my nervous system did not feel comfortable being taken care of. It didn't feel comfortable being present. It didn't feel comfortable that my needs would be met without me efforting all the time. And so money was the pathway for me to experience new relationships with the nervous system.
Can I speak to that for a second, Audrey? I just want to geek out and say how cool it is. I feel like Dana, Kelly, and I all just said the same thing, but in different categories. And this is what I love about nervous system work. It's like a different thing might get you in the door. For Dana, health, me, relationship, Kelly, money. All of it, though, points to the same thing. It's all relational energy work. And we all pretty much learned the same thing. Like, I only knew how to have good health or receive money or have love if I work for it. And it was foreign, and nervous system doesn't like foreign. It's like danger,
Mhm.
danger, foreign. I don't like that. To the idea of receptive mode and the sound healing for Dana. Like, go figure, that works the best when I'm just laying here and receiving, and learning to receive love for me, learning to receive money. It was like learning a new language.
Yeah, I remember the first time that Kelly told me, "You are valuable just for existing." And I was like, "Excuse me? What? No, no. You have to work. You have to like put in all of this effort. You have to like do all of these things. And that's how you like get acceptance and get love and get chosen." And I had to sit with that for a really long time before I was like, okay. I even have it on Post-its stuck to my laptop. Like, I look at it every day and I'm still like, is it true though? Is it true? And I'm like, yes, it's true.
Had a response before your mind even caught online. Immediately, you guys, she burst into tears, like hands in her head in her hands, like her body went into a total like shedding of like, oh my gosh, that's what I want. That is truth. I can't imagine that. Like, she was grieving the fact that like, I don't know, Audrey, what was happening for you in that moment? Because I watched you have a physical response to receiving. I bet you would pray to receive, but you had a response. I'm curious about that for you.
It was just so eye-opening because it was something that I had never heard from anyone, more or less another woman that I respect, like hearing that. And then it was like this domino effect of like every woman in the room like repeating it back to me, and like the vibration got so high. And I remember like our friend Julie like in the chat like, yes, yes, yes. And then like she came on, and then Anna came on, and Robin came on, and I was just like, what is happening right now? It was just a whole recalibration. It was like I feel like I walked out of that room in like a different quantum leap. Like, it was unreal.
But I feel like, speaking to nervous system, you were at a place that you were actually ready to receive that, because you could have had a totally different response. Like Dana said, it could have been an overload. It could have been like, no, 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 like where things are too much, where she's like, I need softness. But the fact that that was allowed into your consciousness, into your body, in like a cellular change, it's because you were actually ready to receive that. Because how many times have we been given the love that we've been craving and we reject it? Like, those are the moments where we know we're having nervous system response. Like, someone wants to pay you more and you're like, no, 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 it's okay. Like, no, you said you wanted more money, but your body's saying, no, 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 right? Or your husband's giving you more love, right? Or Dana's like, Divine, speak to me. And Divine's like, I'm coming in. She's like, too much. Like, no. So that's even something that we have to allow in the things that we want. Like, that was a really cool moment because I actually watched you receive it. I watched you like let it land, pour it on, pour it on. Like, we stayed with you for a while and I watched you receive it, not deny it.
Yeah. And I think you're exactly right. It was the right timing for that. I feel like when we very first connected 3 years ago, I would not have received that well. I would have like completely been like, absolutely not. And like just move along with the show because that is not landing here. That was meant for someone else. But it's so true though, because sometimes we're ready to hear the thing and sometimes we're just not. And that's why it's so good to like repeat these lessons, and something like tapping or breath work didn't work before, maybe it's going to work now. Or maybe when you sit with yourself now and you journal, you have something to say because you've worked through your own embodiment when it comes around that modality.
Really beautiful friend who always says, we will never receive or release anything that we are not ready for. And I just think that that is so true on so many levels, and just a helpful reminder that we're not going to receive it if we're not ready. And I think there's sometimes two things that we hear and we know intellectually in our mind, but there's a difference between embodying it and feeling it kind of like lock into your soul. And I've had that experience before where I'll say, like, I've known this, like, I knew this all along, but somehow I like know this now. There is such a difference in those two things. So
Yeah, fully. I'm a 2-4 in human design, so I'm always saying that I know that, and then I'm like, but do I know it? No, I do not know it. What did you used to do that you called your personality, but you realized was just dysregulation?
I'll answer that. I mean, I'm a mom of two kids, and I think the motherhood thing was something I really, really easily hid behind. It's like, oh, I'm a great mom. I'm involved in all the things, and I volunteer at all the stuff, and I'm, so in my child's life, and I do all these things. But it's like, pouring myself into something else or into a role is not indicative of who I truly am or the power that I have. And I think sometimes moms, especially, I think all women can do this, but especially moms, we wear this badge of honor. Like, I care about my children so much that I'm doing all these things for them, and I have really worked on releasing the need to do that, to either prove to myself, prove to other people. Now I proudly am not the room mom. I will not volunteer at all the things. I will be at what I can come to, but I'm not doing all of it. I'm not doing everything. And that has really helped me to have a more balanced, not just like view of myself, but also just a balance of energy in my life. I think motherhood is a real easy thing to hide behind, you know, taking care of your own self.
For sure. What about you, Becky?
The thing that comes to mind is just my really great attention to detail, and I used to always get asked as a kid to edit people's essays. I'd always find the mistakes, like they just jumped out to me. As soon as I would get home, I could find the little dust, out of place on my floor. My mind just went there. So I just thought, that's my personality. And then I learned, oh, this is a learned survival response. I've had the rug pulled out from under me many times, and even early in relationship in my marriage, we had a dynamic of chase and run, codependency, addiction. So there's these early patterns of bombs being dropped, and me learning how to look for the next threat and make sure it wasn't a surprise and sneaking up on me. And so it wasn't a personality trait. Like, the good personality trait that I still carry with me is more like, yeah, I can spot when something's out of place and fix it, and I have this regulated energy about it. The difference is I was constantly in this tightened, tensed up, fearful, kind of anxious spun energy, searching and scanning and going through his phone and his search history and keeping an eye on him to see if his eyes averted, and was checking out some hot chick and not looking at me. Like, all of that is a different energy than I'm good at correcting essays.
Yeah, fully. I resonate with that because I grew up in a abusive household and constantly like checking, is this going to be okay? Where's the danger coming from? So fully in a completely different way resonate with what you're saying. What about you, Kelly?
Yeah, I would say that same hypervigilance I used in work. So I was really good, and there's a feedback loop there. I was really good at work, and they applaud me and praise me, and so it feels really good, and it feels like I'm constantly getting money or praise or approval or admiration, and so I would stay stuck in that. So I thought, oh, I'm ambitious, and it's like a beautiful thing. What I didn't realize was I was a workaholic who didn't know how to be in the real places I wanted to be, which was present motherhood, because that was quite messy and no feedback loop of you're doing a great job. It was like I have a toddler and a 4-year-old who's got big feelings and they don't care what I feel and it's uncomfortable and I need to love them through their big emotions, but I can't be with my own big emotions. It was awful. It was like awful. It was like terror zone for me because my hypervigilance and my flightiness, which was my response, I wanted to get out of there as fast as possible because I couldn't win there. I couldn't succeed there. And so I would rather be so busy that I don't have time to be present than to sit in the discomfort of being with my feelings, being with their feelings. And so that's been my work.
Yeah, I feel that for sure too.
I think for me, it was a fear of stepping into being someone who is intuitive, who can channel, who has these abilities. At the time, I was like obsessed with shows like Teresa Caputo, the Long Island Medium, and I thought that that was the only way. And I'm like, I don't see dead people. I don't hear dead people. Like, what do you mean I have spiritual gifts? It took me years and years and years to figure out how my own intuitive gifts worked, because I was so deeply comparing to other people. And to be fair to myself, that's all I saw and knew. So there's no shame around that, but that's just what it was. And it was like, it's easier for me to stay here in this mom zone of being a stay at home mom and, like I said earlier, doing all the things than it is to step into this really like mystical version of myself, especially living in the Bible Belt. I was not raised super religious. I went to church. I wasn't afraid of like my family. But it was like, how can I show up at this play date and be like, I just channeled, so and so, and let's hang out and talk about diapers now. So I really struggled with the fear of like being accepted and, not to go too woo woo on everybody, but I do think this was like a lot of past life stuff within me. It's like, I'm afraid if I actually speak up and vocalize these things, that something bad will come upon me. And so this is like a really deep thing. And I am nowhere near healed of that. I still sit in that fear a lot of the times. And it's still something that I feel like I'm actively moving through. But it's a one step forward, a couple steps back. Like you just keep moving closer towards that, I think, and tapping into that courage. So that's kind of been my process.
I've been there as well, like going to family events and being like, I just like read all about my human design. They're like, what the heck? Or like, my astrology, my Jupiter is over here and it's conjunct. And they're like, huh? Like you're speaking a foreign language. It's so courageous of you to lean all the way in. And I just love that about you so much that you do take that brave step. But yeah, it's definitely a courageous one because when we go into these spaces of people that aren't in those realms, they look at you like you're absolutely just bonkers. And
Mhm.
it's hard to hold that vibration when people around you are not on that same vibration.
100%. And like I said, it really wasn't my family so much, but it was like, my kids were in a church preschool at the time. And it's like, I don't know how to go pick my kid up from preschool and be like, I was just channeling spirit 5 minutes ago. Yeah, it's just strange. But thank you so much for your kind words. I appreciate that.
I want to talk about shame and guilt because I feel like as a good girl, when we don't show up in that energy of holding all the things, doing all the things, being the best mom, being the best person in work or owning your business and having great successes, all these accolades, there's this level of shame and guilt that come with it. And those are the lowest two vibrations. So how do we move out of that? How do we just step one more step above to get out of that when we immediately notice that we're feeling like shame around how we didn't show up how we were supposed to, quote unquote?
Yeah, I'd love to answer first. Kristen Neff talks about compassion. She's a teacher on compassion, and she talks about the 3 core elements of having self-compassion, really. And when you have self-compassion, number 1, you understand we all share a common humanity. Like, if anyone listening, please don't get it twisted. Every human everywhere on this earth will have highs and lows. Nobody is going to get through this human experience without feeling these emotions, having some area of their life that's on fire while the other ones are thriving. So as soon as you know, key number 1, that all of humanity is going to suffer and struggle at some point, you can give yourself a little bit of self-compassion and go, I'm not the only one. Right? Because the nervous system state of flight wants to say, I'm the only one, I need out of here. I can't be here. Having self-compassion brings you actually together, right? And saying, we all share this human experience, just like you, just like me, we suffer. And all of a sudden you can go, okay, I'm not alone. Then the second piece of it is mindfulness, your ability to tune into your own body. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling shame. I'm feeling alone. I'm feeling frightened. Being able to name it all of a sudden and becoming mindful of your own experience brings you down to earth into your body, into your human experience. And then the third piece is speaking to yourself the way you would speak to a friend. Because if I blew it as a mom, if I shouted at my kids, I know Becky would be like, Kel, I'm so sorry you had a hard day. I know it's so hard when we react at our kids. But it's okay. Like, she's going to be okay. And you can ask for forgiveness later. Like, it's going to be okay. I need to tell that to myself. Today was hard, wasn't it, Kelly? I'm sorry you overreacted on your daughter. We can go make that right. It's going to be okay. We can give to ourselves because a lot of times we look when we're in these big, strong, hard emotions, we look outside of ourselves to say, somebody help me fix this. And we numb and we shop and we do anything to get out of that feeling. When really, for me, it has all, once I learned self-compassion, I was like, oh, this is the antidote. This is the antidote. I can immediately self-source love, compassion, human experience, mindfulness, come back to my body, all the things that the nervous system wants to tell you the story that you are in fact broken. And that's where shame lives, that you are broken. And even self-compassion moves you up one level to guilt, which just says, I'm not bad. I did something bad, right? Or not, I am broken. I made a broken choice there, right? So even that one shift takes you out of believing that you at the core of who you are is not enough.
Just ditto, ditto, ditto. Like everything Kelly just said.
Yeah, I would love to add to that too. I think for a lot of us who are overachieving, high achieving women, we also think that we have to become a new person overnight, that we are going to radically transform. And I have to constantly give myself permission and the reminder that not only do I not have to, but I also can't completely transform overnight like that. And it is about finding the next right step in front of me, this next baby step, understanding that I am working to evolve into this other thing. But Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was I. And so I have to just go slow and kind of bring myself back to earth a little bit of being like, I'm going to overhaul my entire life and become an entirely new person and fix my finances and be intuitive and be a great mom and all these things. And also, I keep bringing up all these other women who have influenced me. I worked with a woman named Tandy Gutierrez, who was an incredible mentor for me. And she taught me something about effort that we give. When we worked one on one, she would have me rate the amount of effort and energy that I was putting into all these different areas of my life. Every time we got on a call, it was like, where are you at with motherhood? Where are you at with your business? Where are you at with your marriage? All these things. And in the beginning, I was, either wanting to impress her or, it was true of my high achieving self that I would rate myself kind of high, like 5 or above, oh, I'm giving an 8, on whatever. And she was like, I need you to start shooting for a 5. If you're giving a 5 to 10 in all of these areas, you are on a fast track to burnout. So true balance is actually shooting for a 5 in all of these areas of my life. And my mind was blown and I have never been the same since. So I shoot for a 5 because that is true balance and true awareness of the energy that we actually have to give to things. So I just want to share that piece of the overhaul that we may feel, called to do. So
I love that. And I fully resonate with everything that each one of you said. And that's really honestly the core root of what I teach in my Confess method is getting to the root of all of this, naming what's happening, the feelings, all of it. So it is so real, the experience that we're all having. And it's just so good. I want to ask one last question before we wrap up here to each of you. What confession changed everything for you? So we'll start with Kelly.
Shoot, I was hoping I was last. Can I just add one thing to the last thing you said? Because I just want to
Yeah.
name it. All three of you have been important people in my life as I was identity changing. And I think safe women, safe friends, right? Having safe community, allowing you to evolve, like that was really big for my nervous system to be like, I don't know who I am today. I think I'm in that like molten lava goose stage of the caterpillar in the cocoon. And all three of you, I know you personally, and you guys were like, cool, right? Like that was a cool experience for me. So, as far as what confession changed let me say one recently. One recently for me is the fact that I've been speaking out just more confidently about my expanded spirituality. When I grew up in a very Christian upbringing, I'm from multiple lineages, from maternal and father side of pastors. And so to ever believe anything beyond Jesus Christ as the savior and we're going to heaven or hell and there's a definite and, the patriarchy, blah, blah. Recently, I'm so safe within myself and my own experience of spirituality. And that has been a confession that has really set me free and has made me feel so at home within myself. So I'll just share that one.
I love that so much. What about you, Dana?
yeah, I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself here, but I think the moment that I remember coming home from that reading where that medium told me, like, you can do what I do. You're a medium too. Coming home and like vocalizing that to my mom, I almost couldn't even get the words out. She was babysitting my son while I went to this medium, and I told her and just cried because I think the power in naming what we are, naming something that we have maybe been scared to accept about ourselves or admit about ourselves. Again, something I knew was true, but I wasn't sure how it was true just yet. Like I didn't even fully understand it, but like speaking it before you understand it, I think allows us to be able to move into that. So that was a confession that absolutely changed my life because I knew once I spoke it, I couldn't go back. Like I said it, I knew that I was ready to kind of move into it and discover it. And it's okay to speak it and name it and claim it without even fully understanding how it works. So that was a confession that changed my life.
Yeah, love it. What about you, Becky?
This word confession is so interesting for me because the knee jerk reaction it still brings up is this is like a swear word or a scary word. Growing up in church, it was a lot of forced confessions and in places that I was told are safe spaces, but it would just turn into a session of like, this is how you need to do better or failing, or this is going to keep you far from God. So it's been so healing for me to even reclaim that word. And even when you invited me to do this and I first heard it, it was the knee jerk, but then, but I know Dana, I'm meeting today, but I know Audrey and I know Kelly. And this actually, I know what safe feels like. And this feels like girl times and how confessions should feel, where it leads to love, belonging, connection, not accidentally deepening the shame that we all are battling. So it's actually a memory that comes to mind with Kelly. The first thing that popped up was, after learning that perfection got me a lot of love and belonging, perfection, quote, nobody is perfect. Hyperachieving got me a lot of love and belonging over the course of my whole life. It was really vulnerable for me to answer the call, the intuitive nudge to enter this path of marriage coaching and guiding women within relationship. Because I'm like, I feel so clear that this is what I'm meant to do. And we have experienced breakthroughs that are miraculous that I cannot deny. I want to get this out to any woman who needs this help. but we're still work in progress. And shit, that's really vulnerable and kind of scary that we have areas that we need to heal. So I remember it was 2 years into guiding women in their marriages that we had a really, really, really rocky month. And I was like, who do I turn to? And I called Kelly, and I just was completely open. Like, this is what we're going through. I feel like I need to quit my job, or no one's going to believe that this work actually works because we had a freaking failed moment. And she just showered me in a reminder to return home to me, to take off all the hats, the roles, the thoughts of people around me, and do what felt authentic to me, nurture me. And so she was healing balm in that time of being able to have a safe place to confess. And it led me to booking a trip home, just spending time with my mom, recalibrating. And that turned into a new way of marriage coaching for me from that point on, being able to be so open with my clients and not feel the need to hide anything, and to hear back from them like, whoa, this is actually so helpful. Hearing that you're still going through stuff and then just like clinging to my vulnerability. It was mind blowing for me after being Kelly and I were in the same network marketing company. Like, you had to put your best foot forward, be as shiny, prim, and proper as possible. So ever since then, being able to lead from authenticity has been the greatest gift.
Yeah, it was all part of the evolution of your coaching. And kind of just like Kelly said, like surrounding yourself with good, supportive women, like kind of led you through that. It's so beautiful. I want to also talk about how you said that confession was kind of a triggering word for you. I had this talk with Kelly when I was telling her all about my podcast and I was going to name it. And she was like, that's so good, because that's exactly what I want people to work through. We're working through being a good girl. We're working through the idea that this confession is a bad or scary kind of thing. And I wanted to reclaim good girl and reclaim what a confession is, because like we've talked about, telling the truth to yourself is your internal confession. It doesn't have to be about anything overly heavy. And everything that you talked about working through that is exactly why I picked confession in the name of this podcast and everything that I'm doing now. So I
Well,
love
thank you for the free therapy session, Audrey. You can bill me later.
that. Well, yes. I'm going to go ahead and pull today's card. Okay, so I have the Destroyer. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. If not, go to the show notes. And as always, the card deck details and the card details will be in the show notes. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And if you want to follow along as we dive deeper into the Confess method, again, the link for the PDF is in the show notes. And remember, we do not confess to be forgiven. We confess to be free. Till next time.